Welcome to In the Season. It is Sunday, June 19th, 2022, Father's Day. It is crazy hot this week. We haven't had rain in at least 7 days since I got back from my last trip, and we don't have any rain in the 10-day forecast. So it is a hot June already and very dry. So I thought I would take you guys with me on my kind of wrap-up weekend walk to admire and kind of appreciate the work that I got done this week and show you a little bit of an update on the garden. It's been a lot of watering. so come walk with me. So this is the back patio. I still have some plants that are in the kiddie pools to stay hydrated. That has been very actually unplanned, but it worked out well. Those are for a project in the fall, and I just figured I'd put them to use to keep some of these grow bags hydrated. I did pot up more of the peppers. I need some more potting soil, story of my life, but we will help get that done. I am destined for this inflatable pool once we finish our garden walk around. Just scan the back. I didn't really do too much back here other than admiring all the pollinators on these daisies, bee balm, and coneflowers. Still definitely need to clean up this bed. The thyme is done really flowering. There are a couple small flowers, but the pollinators have lost interest in favor of sweeter things up this way. And the oregano is later this year. Last year the oregano was a couple weeks before the bee balm, and this year it's about the same time. It's still a little bit behind, which is surprising, but it happens sometimes. So quick scan, and we will go to the side sunny bed where I spent most of my weekend. So this is the nursery bed. It's looking a little empty because everything in grow bags I pulled into kiddie pools. So the nursery space is looking a little peaked. I'm monitoring these pots. I probably do need to pull them into a bath here shortly, but haven't done that yet. So even the rose area. So this is the area that I am trying to reclaim from invasive English ivy. So I've got it covered with black 7-mil plastic. I am going to reuse this plastic. I didn't want to buy more, so I've got a couple empty areas, but if you did a kind of week over week comparison, the ivy was pushing this up pretty heavily, and now it is almost flat as the heat has picked up and that ivy's gotten suffocated. So that is the desired effect. So I will pull these up, give it a couple more weeks. I probably will have to mow a time or two, may recover them, but we'll just have to see. Okay, walking around to the sunny side. This is a west-facing bed, so things get very, very toasty here from about noon on. It does get some sun before noon, but not quite that blazing sun. My agastache is full of bees, also called anise hyssop. I've got some gomphrena and an okra coming in. This is the bed that I have some kind of quasi-raised beds behind, 3 of those, but the front of the bed is planted with sunflowers, sorghum, okra, and some balsam. So it should be tall and pretty. This week I did go ahead and plant one of these lichty tomatoes. My hope is that will deter the deer. The lichty tomatoes have thorns on them, and I did have a deer pull out a sunflower here just last night, so want to deter those deer. I've got more to mix in, but I'm out of cages, so I'm not going to buy more of those flimsy cages. We'll just have to come up with something creative. So got the lichty tomatoes, giving the eggplants a little bit of a bath. Some of those other things from the nursery bed that are in grow bags are here, along with the ground cherries. So this is part of the bed that I corrected the shape of. So I've got that cardboard, and I'm just going to keep the grow bags on top of it over the summer. And I'll probably refresh the cardboard before I mulch it in the fall. So just the other view of that side bed. I've got some watermelon coming up here. I'm gonna let that kind of ground cover around here. Some smaller melons. I can't remember what all I planted, but I'm hoping those will grow this tomato cage. And of course I've got my squash and cucumber that are pretty well established here. I haven't seen any squash vine borers yet, but they will come. And when they come, I will lose these squash and I'll just pull them out and plant something else. It's not worth the fight for me. So if you look on the other side, this was the big adventure. I did pick basil and I blended it up in the food processor and froze it just in some water so I can use that in soups and things for a while. Last weekend I made pesto. So just trying to keep the basil picked, particularly while it's so hot and dry so it doesn't bolt. I am watering, you see the soaker hoses here, but this time of year, or this time of day, it doesn't pay to water. So the big progress though was getting these T-posts installed, and these are cucumber trellises. Behind them I just zip tied there. I'm not really trying to cage these tomatoes like you would other tomatoes. I'm gonna just hope they kind of lean against that. I might have to prune them a bit. I haven't yet. I've got some determinants in here, so those will peter out fairly soon in July, and I will replace those grow bags with probably some peppers, because those are the 5-gallon grow bags that are good, I think, to bring inside over the winter, because that pepper looks great in the back. So just a quick glance. I did refresh the cardboard before we installed the T-post, so I had some here. This was also slightly shape corrected from where I had it last year, just really curving it instead of a sharper L shape here. So you can see the fresh cardboard, and if I can ever find pine straw again, I will cover that in pine straw so the neighbors don't even see it. And then of course in the fall, more leaf mulch and that kind of thing. The figs are all looking really good. This is their 3rd year, and it's 2nd year in this bed, 3rd year that I've had them. I had them in grow bags. The 1st year, they're finally starting to get established and just looking really good. They got knocked back last year with the freeze that we had. That was really unseasonable for zone 7B, but they are recovering very nicely. So more tomatoes. I pruned the indeterminate tomatoes last weekend when I got home, so they're still pretty bushy, and they're still, despite the heat and lack of rain, still doing pretty well. So this is blueberries. This is a crowd pleaser favorite, and behind the blueberries tomato I have actual blueberries. This is the 1st year my blueberries have fruited. It's only their 2nd year. I've got some squash here. I can't remember if this was a Seminole pumpkin or a butternut squash. It's one of the two. I've got them in here, also hoping for a ground cover. And the first of the queen line zinnias to bloom is behind it. So very pretty. It's a little short, stunty. I don't know if that's intentional. I did pinch them, so could be me. I didn't want them to get too leggy like they did last year. More tomatoes and basil. Strawberry bed started to get really weedy, so I'm gonna confess that I cheated and used some grass killer, because I have cardboard under here, got the mulch, I've been hand pulling, and it's just getting ahead of me. I also, you can't really see, but for later, another project, I don't like the end shape of this bed toward the road, so I am planning to redo that. So I've just laid out a hose to kind of start to visualize where I want the new line to be. Right now it is very sharp. So I love this curve. Monkey grass probably needs to move into the shade a bit more, but it's this beautiful curve, and then it goes straight along the road, and I really want to keep that curve and then curve it a bit better toward the driveway as well. So the hose was a bit kinky, it fought me a little bit, but it'll at least give me a visual to work from, and then I will move some of that plastic over here once it's done in the ivy bed to start to suffocate this Bermuda grass. I am not a fan of Bermuda grass. Cosmos also very late this year, but they are finally starting to bloom, and we're in the shade now, so that's part of it. Another fig. The Gumfrina that I bought 2 weeks ago, definitely ahead of the Gumfrina that I grew from seed. You can see it mixed in with some Bermuda grass, because that's how we do things here. I did have to prune the sassafras, that's okay. I cheated a bit. I did not throw away the clippings. I'm just letting the leaves kind of decompose there. Eventually I'll clean the sticks out, but I'm actually a fan of letting the leaves of the plant kind of decompose near that plant, unless it's a tomato or something that has a disease. Just the plants kind of cultivate the soil they want, so their own leaf litter and debris is good for them, at least so I've read. So more cosmos. I'm hoping soon this will just explode. Last year it was just an explosion of cosmos, but it's later, probably because we had such a cool spring. So walking around here, we've got the little entrance to this side yard. You can see the sassafras is big enough, it's starting to cast a little bit of shade. I did get some compost delivered, and I was a little bit backed up in spreading it, so it's not ideal, but I did just kind of give these peppers along both sides a little bit of a compost mulch just to give them a little bit of a boost. That won't really sink under the pine straw mulch, so when I remulch this in either the fall or the spring, depending on what I decide to do, that compost will get covered. But for now, at least, the rain and the watering will start to get those nutrients to the plants. So we are back around. I'm not going to show you the other beds today. I didn't really do a whole lot other than just kind of general cleanup of some of the bricks from the infrastructure work I had to have done earlier this year that I was behind on. And that's okay. More agastache behind some of those yellow kaleidoscope abelias, and then the strawberry patch. So that is it for this week. Have a great week, and I will say goodbye here in a sec. All right, thank you for joining me to walk around the garden this lovely Sunday afternoon. The neighbors have started up some party music, so it must be time to get in the pool and relax a bit. But thank you for joining me.